Sue Smith with you, sitting in for Aaron Rand, and you hear that music, and you know James Mennie is not far behind. James is a reporter, columnist, and editor at the Montreal Gazette. Good afternoon, James.
How you doing, Sue?
Well, I'm so happy to know that Charles Milliard is alive.
Isn't that great? Proof of life press conference, but I got to tell you, as, how can I put it? As critical as I have been about the manner in which Mr. Milliard has conducted himself during this campaign so far, i.e. sort of imitating the invisible man.
Yes.
His announcement today really seems to have rattled the separatists big time. He has basically pulled the trigger. He's hoisted the Jolly Roger, as I like to say. He said, we have got to have more cooperation, more economic cooperation across this country with the provinces, with the federal government. We've got to get in there and be a part of the united effort to deal with the economic, well, in my expression, economic terrorism of Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. In other words, he's saying, we've got to work on this together. He's kind of singing from the same hymn book as Mark Carney. And of course, this has freaked out. The separatists of PQ, of course, are basically, as two federalists, don't you understand that because of the weakness of the Carney government, Quebec has been paying more for these Trump tariffs. In fact, Donald Trump couldn't find Quebec on a map, even if he was, brought around to full consciousness. The fact is, he was targeting Canada. But what really got me was the reaction from Premier Christine Cochette, who said that this diplomacy takes us far away from the fundamentals of our autonomous policy. And for those of you who are just joining me, and I've said this before, for a Quebec autonomist / nationalist is this day in 2026 is a separatist who's too chicken to hold a referendum, i.e. the CAC. Now, the fact that these comments are coming from, at least for the CAC, a party which, as far as I'm concerned, will be wiped off the face of the earth come October, it's not a big deal. But what I do find interesting is that he has, Milliard seems to have found a theme, a real opening in what is otherwise this huge identity deflector shield that's being thrown up by the PQ and the CAC, that it's about language and culture. No. It's that people in Quebec right now, especially people who have money in the stock market today, are sweating bullets. Mm-hmm. And they need someone, much in the same way as Mark Carney has, and that's why, rightly or wrongly, he's enjoying a huge popularity, who said, don't worry, I know what I'm doing, I'm going to deal with this. There's nothing radical or amazing in what Milliard is saying, other than saying, you know what, we're still a part of this country, we have to work as being part of this country, we have to be able to improve, and plus Quebec's economy has to be more open to the rest of Canada. And it's interesting to know, even though you've got the same kind of, dog ate my homework excuse from the CAC, from Clochette, that Quebec is the only province that has yet to sign on to directly allowing liquor sales.
Yeah, but we will, apparently.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Once the National Assembly...
That's right. And we'll have world peace, and unicorns will drink from rivers of chocolate, Susan. Of course we're going to do that. They will never, ever touch. No so-called nationalist / separatist will ever compromise the monopoly, the throat-throttling monopoly that is enjoyed by the SAQ right now when it comes to liquor sales. Mm-hmm. This has always been part and parcel of the so-called Quebec identity. In other words, we take what's ours is ours, and whatever you can give us will also be ours. And it's so ironic to see these comments, especially from the CAC, when you figure that former Premier François Legault actually, I think it was in the National Assembly, told PQ leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, be careful with all the separatism stuff, because if you leave Canada, that's a net loss of $5 billion in revenue from transfer payments. So this idea that, we're autonomous, and you know what, we should have more delegations all around the world, spare me the cosplaying. Mm-hmm. People are really, really worried right now, and they don't have time for a proven collection of incompetents who are sitting in government right now at the CAC, and a bunch of ideologues in waiting in the Parti Québécois who say, don't worry, we have our blue book and everything is going to be fine. It's a good day. It's an interesting day.
Did you just say spare me the cosplay?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm sorry. You know what? And no one believes it, okay? When the Oxford and McGill educated head of the PQ starts saying that, we have to protect French and it's in danger and this and that, and we'll make it, they haven't said anything about, lifting any of the clear attacks on English language educational institutions. The double standard, the BS level, that certainly was pioneered by the Parti Québécois, that like to make sure that, immigrants and francophones didn't have a choice of going to an English language school, but somehow, a lot of kids went to private school, whatever. Bottom line here is people have figured that part out, and I think as innocuous as his statement is today by Charles Mennie, I think it really has rattled the cat in the PQ, because everything that is in that statement, and I'm not a fan. People listen to this show know I ain't no cheerleader for the Quebec Liberals, but everything he said today checks off all the boxes of what people in Quebec want to hear right here, right now in 2026.
100%. And, you and I have talked about Charles Milliard and how the man has no idea. So he's obviously hitching himself to Carney's wagon, but that's smart because Quebecers are supporting what Carney's doing.
Exactly. And you know what? It seems to be working.
Yeah.
I mean, you have all these people saying, well, why? Hey, and once again, Carney's bent the knee. We have news now they've backed off of Trudeau's Netflix tax. Mm-hmm. Which I always figured was like, no, the last people on earth you want to take on are Netflix. But anyway, that's the story for the day. But the thing is, you fight the battles you can win. Yeah. But and as for Donald Trump, I don't want to belabor it, but face it, you can't figure out even in the next few hours what he's going to say, much less tomorrow. So negotiations are, to say the least, problematic. So right now, we're staying the course. And I think, Canada's strategy, I think the world's strategy is to hang on, grit your teeth until November, and hope that the Republican Congress gets drop-kicked out of office. And keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah. Funny that all those elections are happening in November. Just quickly, twisters in the Laurentian, great whites in the St. Lawrence.
Listen, climate change is here. We're seeing examples of it. And indeed, the Liberals, the Carney Liberals, in fact, have lost support, not a whole bunch of support, but have lost some support to the NDP in the latest Angus Reid poll, simply because of its stand. It's rather, how can I put it, pragmatic stand on environmental issues. Mm-hmm. 21% of in the latest poll from Angus Reid, 20% of respondents say climate change is the number one issue, and that's up from 14% in March. Wow. Okay, Gee, you think it's been raining sideways somewhere? You know what I mean? It's like between the wildfires and whatever. 15% of people who voted for the Liberals in 2025 now say they would vote for the NDP, although that might just be, for the short term. Yeah. And even though, it's still dizzying heights of popularity. Mark Carney enjoys an approval rating of 51%, although in February it was 60%. So clearly, people, you and I can talk about all kinds of matters of great import. The fact is, a lot of people are looking out the window and going, what the hell is going on?
Totally. Yeah, and people like Stephen Guilbeault, leaving his side, that's not a good look either for, a man who's
I think right now when your basement's flooded or whatever, or you're looking at the stuff coming out of Europe right now, which quite frankly is totally gobsmacking. Yeah. The stuff out of Italy, the stuff out of Spain, the stuff out of France, between the wildfires, the storms, whatever, places a lot of people are familiar with in Europe, which are completely turned upside down by these absolutely Old Testament storms. You figure something's up, and you'd like to hear somebody say, oh, it's going to be all right. But right now, where we are in this particular, how can I put it, political highway, there's no close exit that says, yeah, let's make climate change a number one priority, even though perhaps it should be.
Yeah, not for a while until it's the economy, stupid, right? Not you, stupid.
Always. It may be raining outside, okay, but you still want to keep that roof over your head.
Exactly. James, great to talk to you. Talk to you tomorrow.
À demain.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
Or the free iHeartRadio app.